It may look like a pineapple, but I promise it's not. Let's talk about Cycas. What's up, fellow plant enthusiasts? My name is Dylan Bain, and this is Bain's Botanicals. Today, we're going to be talking about Cycas. This is often called a sago palm, which I can see why somebody might call it that, but it's not even remotely related to palms, so let's call it a sago plant. I'm going to go and throw up the taxonomy information for Cycas. As you can see, we are not in Magnoliophyta, so this is not a flowering plant. This is much, much older than flowering plants. This is actually a cycad, so we are in Cycadophyta, and there are not a lot of these plants left. A lot of them are fossils because, like I said, they are very old, and today they suffer from things like habitat destruction, so a lot of them are threatened. This particular species is the one that you always see in stores. This is Cycas revoluta, and it does look kind of like a pineapple. I mean, I will admit that it does. These go back to the time of the dinosaurs, and actually earlier than that even, but they really flourished around the time of like the Jurassic period, but they can go back as far as the Permian period. And they are pretty hardy considering. I mean, they haven't survived hundreds of millions of years for nothing. And if you've ever seen a picture when these things are, it's not really flowering, seeding, let's call it that, they'll get in the middle, they'll get something that looks very similar to a pine cone, which makes sense because this is a gymnosperm like a pine tree would be. A gymnosperm meaning that it doesn't flower, it produces a seed that's naked, it's not encapsulated by a fruit or anything. If you need to reference the video that I did on plant evolution, that's a good one to go to because I talk more about that in detail. Anyway, ooh, I hit that. As far as care goes, these guys are pretty easy. They're not too finicky and they don't require an excessive amount of care. Light, they just need bright indirect light like most houseplants. They can do with medium light probably, but they need light. They're not low light plants. As far as water goes, just water them about as much as you would a succulent. So if we notice this base part of the plant, it's touching the soil in such a way that you don't want the soil to stay moist all of the time. Sorry, I said moist. Some people hate that word. You don't want it to stay wet all of the time. Just because this has a tendency to rot and the roots underneath also have a tendency to rot. So when I say water it as much as a succulent, I mean let it dry out, but don't let it stay dry like you would a cactus, because these leaves will start to brown or yellow if it's not getting enough water or if it's getting too much water. And it doesn't produce leaves very fast. I mean, this will have the same 5 leaves for a long time. I think they put out leaves, in my experience, they put out leaves like once a year, and they'll just kind of pop out in the middle and they'll kind of fan out like that. And it's kind of cool to see, and they do it very slowly, but they're very structural just because of how the leaves don't really move. Like I shake it, they don't really move or anything. So I can see where this would be a good tabletop plant. Aesthetically, it doesn't really do anything for me. Like, I don't know, I've just never really been into these necessarily. I went out and bought this specifically for this video. But I think the history of them is more interesting than actually owning one. But they're still good plants, and they're good starter plants, really, if you haven't really done the plant thing before. Where was I at with care? Soil, just a regular houseplant soil is fine. If you wanted to do a succulent soil, that would be fine too. It's kind of however you feel the needed care for it. You could do either one. Humidity, they don't mind some humidity. It's not really necessary, but it's not going to say no. Because these are tropical plants. Don't get me wrong. These don't come from the desert. They come from ancient jungles and forests and things. So they are tropical. They're not going to say no to that humidity. As far as pests go, I haven't really had any problems with them, but I know I don't usually talk about pests, but I've been dealing with pests a lot recently, so it's whatever. But yeah, they're pretty easygoing. I would definitely recommend it. Like I said, they just have kind of an interesting history and everything. Don't count on it producing that cone inside the little pine cone because it probably won't. They really produce those more if they're in a greenhouse or if they're in nature, which I think most of us don't live near where these actually grow. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any cool stories about sago palms. Oh my God, I can't believe I just called it that. Sago plants, Cycas. And if I didn't mention it, this is Cycas revoluta. It's really the only species that I know of that is a houseplant. So let me know if there's other ones that you guys have. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for the comments and communicating with me and everything. I really enjoy it. And I think this was the last plant in the C's. So we're moving on to D's now. So I'm excited. Anyway, I'm going to get some videos out to you real soon. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.